Good evening, ladies. Today's lecture will be based on Victorian Pre-Raphaelite Brotherhood. Victorian Pre-Raphaelite Brotherhood is a particular cluster of poets who emerged during the middle of the Victorian age. And they were Swinburnes, the Rossettis, D.G. Rossetti, Christina Rossetti, Dante Gabriel Rossetti, Swinburne, and many others. So without further ado, let's start with Pre-Raphaelite Brotherhood, the mid-Victorian Pre-Raphaelite Brotherhood. The indulgent and artificial Parnassian mode, as Hopkins styled it, was also very much in evidence in the so-called Pre-Raphaelite poetry. Pre-Raphaelite poetry of the mid-century. The original Pre-Raphaelite Brotherhood of young anti-establishment painters, Dante Gabriel Rossetti, John Everett Millais, William Holman Hunt, Stephens, James Collinson, and one sculptor, Thomas Woolner, had drawn up a scheme for revolutionizing the pictorial arts in 1848. So what they were doing, they were revolutionizing pictorial art, the aesthetics, the painting in literature. So Pre-Raphaelite Brotherhoods, who are the Pre-Raphaelite Brotherhoods? The Pre-Raphaelite Brotherhoods are a cluster of poets who revived, revolutionized art and painting in literature during the middle of the Victorian age, somewhere around 1850s, 1860s in mid-Victorian England. The scheme entailed rejecting the norms of painting current since the late Renaissance in favor of what they insisted was the superior directness of expression of those artists who worked before the time of Raphael. So this is exactly what I was talking about. So they were looking for those painters who worked before the time of Raphael. Their tastes were not especially novel. So not that what they were doing is extraordinarily unique or something incredibly innovative. Despite their own determination to shock complacent British world. Now this is the most important phrase, complacent British world. So what is the complacent British world? It means the bourgeois Victorian, bourgeois mid-Victorian England. And why is it called complacent? It's called complacent because it was happy with its own bourgeois flow. So this Pre-Raphaelite painters, or should I say this Pre-Raphaelite poets, they were challenging the Victorian norms of morality, Victorian norms of Christianity, and Victorian norms of sexuality. Most of them, they were not particularly happy with the Victorian, mid-Victorian bourgeois norms of sexuality. In England, a revival of interest in medieval painting had gone hand in hand with an often strident appreciation of Gothic architecture and design. So obviously, as a result, they would keep going back to the Gothics, to the medievals, and to the Romantics oftentimes. In fact, one of the Pre-Raphaelite poets was fond of Keats and Keatsian sensuous philosophy. And while in Germany, Nazarene painters had begun to cultivate an affinity with what they saw as the pure, untainted Christian art of the period before Reformation. What was special about Pre-Raphaelite Revolution was its frequent reference to cultural heroes who were not exclusively painted. Christ, as the Nazareth, stood at the pinnacle of human aspiration. to the divine in art and life. But other exclusively Pre-Raphaelite heroes included Chaucer, Geoffrey Chaucer, William Shakespeare, and most radically, given his still unsteady reputation, Keats. So I was talking about Keats. So particularly Geoffrey Chaucer, Shakespeare, and Keats, they had wide-ranging influence on this Pre-Raphaelite brotherhoods of mid-Victorian England. These poets provided a stream of subjects for the young artists and their growing circle of associates. Chaucer and Gower stand admiringly by John Wycliffe, reads his translation of the scriptures of Ford Madox Brown's, the first translations of the Bible into English. Millais says Ferdinand, lured by Ariel. Millais says Ferdinand, lured by Ariel, takes an episode from The Tempest, and in 1853-54, Brown painted a sleeping King Lear, comforted by an attendant Cordelia. Holman Hunt's The Flight of Madeline and Porphyro. The Flight of Madeline and Porphyro shows the final debut of Keats's Eve of St. Agnes. Eve of St. Agnes is a poem by Keats, which Kullan University, Calcutta University, most of the West Bengal universities in the eastern part of India, they have this poem in their syllabuses. And Keats Eve of St. Agnes, while Millais says Isabella, takes as its subject a scene of tender love contrasted with sneering brotherly jealousy. The group short-lived journal, The Germ, an experimental amalgam of poetry, prose, and essay, also served to extend the range of their literary and pictorial predilections. So as I was saying to my undergraduate students, that these poets, they basically depend on painting, on art, and aesthetics to be able to compose whatever they want to compose in the name of Pre-Raphaelites, poetry and brotherhood. So if anyone asks you what dominates these poems, or what dominates or controls these poems, their love for painting, their fascination with sexuality, and their repulsion against Christianity. Of the founder brothers, only Dante Gabriel Rossetti has any claim to literary distinctions. Although the poetry of Thomas Woolner, a contributor to the Germ and the author of the sequence, My Beautiful Lady, achieved some critical success at the time, Rossetti's poetry is essentially decorative and descriptive. Why it is decorative and descriptive? Because they are based on painting and art. Obviously, they would be decorative and descriptive. In some of his landscape poems, a halfway ox, autumn idleness, the woods purge, for example, he can colorfully suggest momentary experience. Momentary experience and an intensity of vision. But the majority of his verses deal with his fascination with female face and the female body. So the fascination. So as I was saying, The fascination with female face and female body and female nudity become paramount because they were so fond of feminine sexuality. They were so fond of feminine art. They were so fond of aesthetics of feminine sexuality. And often they are accused of being obscene, of being vulgar, of being cheap, and of being almost illicit in their own right. Pre-Raphaelite Brotherhoods.